We have reports coming out of Politico stating that come Monday, we could see a very fluid situation here in terms of the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, facing impeachment. They're talking these plans are being drawn up. This is the speculation right now. Articles of impeachment against him. And if you recall, here within the past week, there was an interview with this anonymous man. He claimed to be a security type of individual working for one of the private sector alphabet gangs. He claimed to have witnessed or overheard the guys talking that had something to do with the knocking off of Mr. Rich, as I talked about in a separate video. Well, some people didn't want to believe this guy because he didn't want to give a name, he didn't want to show himself, and some of the mainstream outlet goons that were there, I think there was only one, he is really showing himself in his colors, that he was acting like no one should believe this guy or anything that he's saying. And it rubbed off on some of the alternative media that were in there that started acting like him. And it was a shame to see that, how quickly people would just mold into following some of the other individuals around them like lemmings without asking any questions to the situation. But this guy goes on to state that Rod Rosenstein was involved with this whole thing having to do with Mr. Rich, and the whole thing having to do with emails getting downloaded and him having it on a thumb drive, and that this guy was a key player, and that one of two things had to come of this. Either it tracks back directly to the offices of this man, or on the other side of the coin, they were using this man as a safety umbrella, and others say he had to have known something along the lines of the whole event. So, in that interview that people were questioning, they really started saying, oh, what does Russia and Bitcoin have to do with this? Mind you, this is last week. This guy said this in this interview, and everyone was like, what does Russia and Bitcoin? Now, all of a sudden, people today are seeing the headlines and from yesterday that 12 Russian individuals have been indicted by Mueller, and that the whole reason this whole thing is coming unraveled is because of Bitcoin. Tracking and tracing the transactions. They have nothing to worry about unless you're doing something criminal. But as I've warned before, they can do this. Other people just didn't want to hear it, didn't want to see it, want to live in a fantasy land. This is why I told you have to create your own currency and stand behind it with everything you got. Because anything else that they create out here, just like everything else they have backdoors into, you'd be foolish to think that they don't have a way to trace it. So this is all coming to light now. And just as soon as Mueller makes these comments about Bitcoin in Russia, we have talk of Rosenstein impeachment. How is it that all of these things that came from this anonymous individual are coming to light later this week? Some of you may want to go back and revisit that, and I actually uploaded that to either BitChute or Twitch, one of the two. I'm uploading exclusive content over there. That way it can't be touched. And you're going to hear a majority of that audio over there, where Jack was sitting down at the table, and Jack had been shot by a guy by the last name of Doherty. And they think that all this stuff is tied in together. So I just wanted to throw this out there and let it be known. They're talking about impeachment. I'm going to update as I get more details on this. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for the latest. This has been Dabu7, and this is Illuminati.